up here. I think it's a matter of generational gap because since the beginning of humanity, we always had this problem because one generation is older than the one that is the new one. So it's I remember when I was a teenager, I always had a problem to refer with to have a relationship with my parents. Then when you outgrow this age, you realize that maybe your parents, they were right. And especially when then they become parents too, they're going to realize that their parents, they were perfect at the time. But now it's a conflict that appears because it's due to the age, because it's always there is always a fight between the two, the new one and the old. But then everything gets smoother when they grow up and they overcome this age.
What kind of conflicts do family have and what do they do to solve them?
I think the most important thing is communication. I do have two teenagers, and most of the time we do have conflicts, but we solve them by talking to each other. I always, the main thing is to remember that you were as they were now. Like I always remember how I felt when I was my daughter age, my son age, and that's where makes the relationship work. Because otherwise you forget, since you are an adult, you forget the way they feel, how they communicate, how they get involved with things. But if you take a look back and you see that that's the way you felt when you were the same age, so you see that the relationship gets better.
Does it happen because teenagers and adults think in different ways?
They do, but then at the end you're going to see that we have the same thoughts. It's not that, at the beginning it seems like there is, because maybe you, even dressing up, like when the clothing and all the stuff, maybe at the beginning you want to dress in a certain ways, like now it's old fashioned that you go some ways, and maybe your parents, they say, oh, it's not the way you have to go up and look. But now, then you realize that maybe when you were younger, you were doing the same thing. Your parents didn't agree on the way you were dressing up. And then it's, you see certain things that maybe, I think that's the major thing is that parents, they should just remember the way they were. That's what it is. And that's the way they should be. If they want to solve the problem, if they don't want to have conflict.
Do they speak and understand them differently?
I think so, but it's, sometimes it's even, it's not even the media, like television, the computers. We didn't have so much influence. Maybe that's why, we talk a different language, because they have more like outsider push that we didn't have at the time. The only thing that we had when we were growing up was we had books, we had magazines, but we didn't have this many the media. We had television, but it was not that important at the time. Now it's the major thing. Computers, iPod, everything is electronic. So that's why we speak different. But then at the end, it's it's the same, but you have to listen. I always say to them that you have to always listen between the lines. because when you read something, there is, even the blank says something. So that's how you communicate with the kids.
In which way do you think all generations need one another?
They do, especially nowadays, the old people, they live apart from most of the family. Before the grandparents, they had a very full grandfather or something, they say it in English. Their grandparents in America and their grandfather, grandparents, they have a very important role. Like, I remember growing up, I used to love to be with my grandmother, grandfather, and now I think that's what is missing in this generation. The relationship between the old generation and the new one, because the old people, they have so much to give to us. I remember when I had my father, when he died, he was 78 years old, and the thing that I was crying for was because he was a very smart man, and I thought that we were going to miss something that it was so important for my kids that they didn't have the chance to meet. And then even for the family, because he was so mature, he was giving us so many good advices that we, it was, I was losing, I don't know, it was not the person there, but what he meant. And that's what I think that you kids, you guys, you should have a more intense relationship with grandparents, because they are very, very important for your growing.
And is it changed nowadays? The relationship between...
Yeah, now, before it was so easy to talk to them, to even with the grandparents, but now, it's always because of these new gadgets that they have. So they speak a different language. Instead, the old people, most of them, they don't have computers, and they don't, they have different ways to relate to them. But the way they want to relate to them is different from that.
It's too different.
It's two different worlds.
Any other question? Section 1 is finished.